Jessica Lewis is one of our Tai Chi Cha folks who have now come over to the Tai Chi Fit Tai Chi for Veterans program, and she brings her own flash, flare, and dash to the program. I absolutely adore Jessica. She's one of the hardest workers out there in the field today, and knows stuff. So it is a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you, Marcus. I really do. I consider you a friend.
Aww.
I'm grateful for you.
You are in a party of one.
That's okay. I like small parties. It's all good.
There you go. Very exclusive for you. It's like you and the cat, and I know the cat would kill me if he was about 30 pounds heavy. So that's not a lot. I could get him there. He's a chonk. He's a chonky cat. Anyway, so we're catching up. Thank you for being a part of the World Tai Chi Day live stream.
Very grateful.
So we were actually planning on hosting a World Tai Chi Day today down in the Rubworth Mansion down there in your neck of the woods, Claymont, Delaware.
I think it was going to be very robust, so it was disappointing when things happened the way they did, and I think it probably could have been safe even under these bizarre conditions. But the Chi is always working things out behind the scene. I'm fully confident that everything is going exactly the way it should.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have the opportunities to do it at the end of May or the end of June, whenever these things sort of work themselves out. And that means we get to do World Tai Chi Day twice. Once sort of as a stretch, as a stretch now, and then in real life with our group, which isn't going to be much different than what we're doing here today. We're going to have the Chi-cast going the entire time and jumping in and out with different hosts and doing workshops and all. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Getting that together. Consider this a worldwide dress rehearsal.
It really is. It really is. I was talking with DDR last night. I'm like, you sure you want me doing this? Because the whole world is going to be watching.
I kind of felt the same way when you asked me to drop in today. So, it is what it is.
That's exactly right. So what are you doing on World Tai Chi Day under the COVID constraints?
Yeah, I was actually just going to do some Tai Chi and some other mindfulness techniques that I enjoy. It just so happens to be a pretty day today. Yesterday was not. Tomorrow will not be. So I'm going to take full advantage of being outside because, outdoors is medicine. And it's amazing to be outside, especially if you're doing Tai Chi. You're not only grounding yourself and plugging into all those amazing well-being enhancing abilities we already have inside, but you're basically plugging yourself into the light socket, which is the huge Mother Earth. So it's a great thing.
Absolutely. Getting some of that rain down from the sun as well. A good vitamin D, refreshing the body. That is one thing I definitely miss under the current circumstances. It's just that daily solar bath. Just to rejuvenate the skin. You always feel so good. Not to go out like in the middle of the day when the sun's at its hottest, but right there in the morning, you start to feed off of that good energy as it's coming over the horizon. It just reinvigorates the body and the mind, which is awesome.
And all ancient peoples, we kind of have forgotten a lot of criteria required for being healthy humans, because all ancient people, their circadian rhythms were completely plugged into what was going on around them, and we pushed the envelope on that. So, the reason why it feels so good to get outside in the morning is because getting some sunlight in the morning helps tell your melatonin to turn off, and helps tell your cortisol to turn on, and that's one reason why you feel good and energetic in the morning. And then as the sun begins to sink, that tells your melatonin to turn back on again and your cortisol to turn back off. So, we're basically animals, just like every other beast running the planet. You just forget about it for a while.
You're absolutely right. There is so much from the ancients that we've forgotten that I think we should push for a movement to start feeding Christians lions. maybe not all the ancient ways were the right way to go. Maybe not all the ways.
We don't want to get too controversial here, right?
No. A little Roman joke. Nobody's Romans. Not even the Romans, because they're not around anymore.
You can tease them. Yeah, they're a good target audience for a joke because they're not around. But I think people like you, Marcus, and sometimes people like me, especially during this time, for those of us who are grateful enough to still be working, sometimes it's even harder to remember to do or find the time or carve out the time to do all the things that are good for us because we're so darn busy right now. So it's so incredibly important to just get outside and smell the air, feel the ground under your feet.
You are so right about that, Jessica. Absolutely right about that. I don't know if you've looked, because I know you, like me, have actually gotten busier since this whole thing went down, because now we're moving our little empires online, and because we're in one place, yeah, right? Like you're in one place all the time, so all of those like travel times that you would lose. Actually, and you look back at it, we used to look at those travel times as getting in the way of other appointments, but now you start to realize those were little breaks in the day that you got to just be by yourself for a moment. And now that's kind of all out the window.
Yeah.
So you have to find other ways to do it. You got to get out into the sun. You got to keep to your practice. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the mindfulness practices that Jessica does to keep her sanity.
That's an interesting question. No, I don't remember the last time somebody asked me that. So I am a huge advocate of mindfulness. Huge. I will tell you that I became interested in meditation like at the age of 15 or something.
Wow.
But I was simply never able to sit still long enough to get it done. Yeah. And then when I became a personal trainer, 16-ish years ago, I thought, well, exercise is my meditation. And it is true that when you're running, you can get into a meditative rhythm. There are some meditative aspects to traditional exercise. There are meditative aspects to anything. I mean, you can eat mindfully, you can paint, there's all kinds of things. But I still felt like something was missing. And so for the first large chunk of my private practice years, I was just teaching people fitness and nutrition. But I literally went to my first Tai Chi Chuck class by mistake. I want to say it was 2008. I thought I was going to a martial class. I didn't realize I was walking into a purely meditative class. But Tai Chi Chuck has kind of cracked open the door for me because Tai Chi Chuck is one of the only Tai Chi practices that's just purely meditative. There's no martial application to it whatsoever. But it cracked open the door, and all of a sudden I realized that what I was seeking was already there. There's that whole "what you're seeking is seeking you" thing. It was already inside. All that we need in order to do mindfulness or any type of meditation is already in there. We just need to stop looking for it so hard. So once I kind of got in touch with that really quiet spot that's always down, it's like the ocean in the middle of a class 5 hurricane. All hell is breaking loose on the top, but if you just go down a little bit deeper, it's nice and quiet.
Yeah.
So that's what's in there all the time. So I went looking around for ways to practice meditation or mindfulness in another way. And another really dear friend of mine who's a Tai Chi Chuan instructor is also a very accomplished psychologist. He's a former prison warden.
Jeez.
Very interesting guy. And he teaches something called Direct Path. And I was very grateful to study with Dr. David Parrish for a while. And again, he uses the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. It's already in there. You just need to stop looking so hard, and then all of a sudden, you will notice it.
Right.
So that's what I've been practicing for many, many years. But in the last few years, I've become pretty tuned into the MBSR community in Delaware. And I'm very grateful that they are in the process of kind of folding in my Tai Chi Chuck classes and the Tai Chi for Veterans classes into all of their offerings because, in the end, Tai Chi instructors, mindfulness instructors, meditation instructors, we all just want everybody to be well. That's really our agenda.
That is.
And people will only practice the things that they like. So the tricky part is just helping them find the thing that they like, and that's the thing they'll do. And so as I said, I've begun to really get to know some of the really, really accomplished, well-respected MBSR instructors in the area. And just like the Chi class I did with Arlette the other day, there are so many overlaps to all of this. It's like we're all trying to describe this one or two indescribable things. We use slightly different dialects with the same language, really. It's like a big bowl of spaghetti and everything is intertwined and you can't see where one thing ends and one begins. Mm-hmm. So I have dabbled with MBSR, I've dabbled with traditional mindfulness, I've dabbled with various different styles of meditation. I think in the end, just allowing yourself to be in the moment. Maybe the easiest way to focus on that is to simply focus on something you would normally pay no attention to, like your breathing. Or if you're sitting in a chair, the sensation of your hands resting on your knees. Or if you're standing, the sensation of your feet touching the ground. And then the thoughts, they come and go. That's just the way the human mind works. But don't get attached to that. Don't get judgy. Don't worry about, am I doing it right? Oh, there's a thought, oh, there it goes. Just kind of, it's like most of us walk around all day long as if we're standing directly under Niagara Falls and we don't even realize we're being waterboarded by our own thoughts. They're coming so fast and so hard. It's like we're jumping. But if you just step back, you're in that little cave where the Maid of the Mist goes and the water just goes by and it's beautiful. So I think that's where all these things overlap. They all just enable you to kind of just step back and watch.
Oh my God, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I was getting like Wattsian vibes out of you right there.
Yeah.
Just really cool.
Yeah. And Tai Chi does the same thing. It just enables you to be in the moment. And so, the thoughts, they come and they go, but whatever. You're just feeling your feet touching the ground and thinking, okay, now I'm going to shift completely to this one leg, so this other leg will be empty and I can place it out. And that's being very mindful. It's all the same thing. In the end, it's all the same.
Oh, absolutely, it's all the same thing. I think Shane and I were talking about this a little earlier this morning, where all the paths lead to the same destination, and most of the paths are within eyeshot of each other. We're all sort of milling around the same forest and finding the same discoveries and all that, and your path helps me find rocks and crevices that I didn't know were there before, and vice versa. And that's always such a great, enlightening experience as you delve deeper into who you are as a person, what you need from that which is around you, mindfully, physically, mind, body, and breath as always. That's fantastic. So
from your studies, all your different martial studies, the greatest challenge in life is just figuring out who and what you are, and that's actually way simpler than most people think.
It is. It's a lot of it is acceptance, because you have that tribal conditioning that is there to keep the tribe going. It's there to keep the illusion of the society going. And you have to fit this mold in order to fit in. But human beings don't work that way. We're cut from many different cloths, and we all have different interests and different desires. And so you can have a situation like we have now, where people strive to be people who are great at math and are great with numbers and calculations. Instead of working for NASA and sending us into space, they're working for Wall Street and doing money. Right? You have people who are writers for news organizations that under the surface are actually like Broadway writers, and they would be great at making novels and all that kind of thing. But because society looks at writers and looks at artists and even what we do with a hairy eyeball, we don't. There's almost a level of shame that comes with just embracing who you are, just embracing what makes you happy. And when you can accept who you are and accept that you're happy and break that tribal mind, now you're free. Now you're able to discover who you are as a person in your mindfulness, in your journey. And that is a liberating thing, as if no other thing has ever emancipated anything else. It is that little idea right there. And that's powerful. The only problem is, how do you keep food on the table while you're doing it?
That's the tricky part. And the other thing is, I think people don't realize often that the way they are out in the world is actually almost more like an action figure. You know, it's not the reality. It's the thing you put out there. And again, if you just know how to step back, you can still have that action figure thing going out there. It can almost have it's like an alter ego. You know?
Sure.
And still really be who you are. It just comes down to knowing who you really are on the inside and just honoring that. You know?
So who's your alter ego, Jessica?
I don't know.
Are you the Batman?
I don't know. No, I've more often been called Wonder Woman than Batman. And I do really like her, but actually I really liked her even when I was a kid. Even when she was Linda Carter, I thought she was pretty cool. But
that's taking it back to the days of cheese right there.
I'm very you and Sam were talking about Ghostbusters the other day on the Chi-Cast, and I was thinking, oh, this is so funny. They're talking about 1984 and 1986, and I'm like, I was already married in 1986. Yeah, I'm in a different space, but yeah, no, I love Wonder Woman. I don't think that if you and I got locked into a room and were instructed to only talk about comics, only you would come out alive. I think I would not be able to hold my end of the conversation. But I'm not bad for a girl. I can hold it up pretty good for a girl.
My daughter and Sophia could give you a real run for your money there.
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God! I have to.
They live with you.
No, I live with them. Let's. Because they get into like the anime and all that kind of stuff. Well, and there's a point where it's just not me anymore. And I have to move on. Oh, yeah. But that is a part of your authentic self. And actually, one of the things that I love about our Chi-Cast is it helps us discover the authenticity in each of us as we go around, because all of our conversations are different.
Yeah.
They hit on different topics. Now, if we were to talk like Star Wars for 8 hours, I'm sure you.
Oh yeah, I'm there.
You're all over that.
It's all about Star Wars. You want to know the answer to any question in the universe, Marcus? You just look at the Star Wars script. I'm telling you, it's all right there.
Even the prequels. Even the prequels. That's a dedicated fan. Although, what is the last one that came out that didn't do too well. I mean, it did well financially, but the fans were mixed. I admit I had issues with that one, but I think it all came from the movie that came before it, and it just had to do what it could to kind of save the ship.
I was very cool with the way Luke just, sort of went out into the universe. I was cool with that. So.
Oh, you were? So you were a fan of The Last Jedi then?
I actually liked that, yeah. In fact, my treasured very first Tai Chi Cha instructor, April, who was generous enough to be videotaped with me doing the full silent complete practice on my website. You can see the whole thing on my website, which is cool. She is such.
How about your opportunity for a shameless plug, by the way?
I know. I don't have my. I usually have my web address. This is not my company shirt. But April, I've learned so much from her. So much from her that I often call her either Yoda or Obi-Wan, and. She has never seen any of the Star Wars films, so I'm like, you have to watch them. And she didn't even understand how they were spelled. So at one point, she texted back to me, Obi-Wan? What do you mean? I'm like, well, that's appropriate. Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. Obi-Wan. So, yeah. But back to the whole Tai Chi thing. I mean, I have a theory that in many ways, Tai Chi is just a metaphor for life, Like, if you can relax during some of the most difficult times in your life, when things are giving you the most resistance, if you can relax and just dedicate yourself to continuing to move as softly and smoothly, or as you often say, like water, when it hits a rock, it just goes around, That is a great way to navigate your way through life, and you'll have a hell of a much better time that way.
That is true. How do you get there, though, Jessica?
Good question. I mean,
same way you get to Carnegie Hall.
Practice.
That's right.
But I mean, I fall off the beam every now and again. I mean, you and I, every now and again, I get snarky with you, and you get annoyed, and so it's hard to be mindful all the time.
You don't know me.
It is hard to be mindful all the time. But the days that I get the snarkiest are the days when I haven't had a chance to do my practice first thing. So, yeah, you're right. That's it. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
It's funny how that works, right? It's absolutely funny how that works.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's funny. I was watching this video on YouTube. It's a mindfulness channel. But he was, I think the video was called like 2 Minute Hacks, or something of that. 2 Minute Habits. That's what it was called.
Okay.
2 Minute Habits. And the idea was there's only so much time in a day. And if you're like yourself, myself, a lot of the people that are watching right now, you're very ambitious, go-getter. You want to get a lot of things done. You want to write a book, learn Russian, and save the world, and cure cancer, all in the same day. And there's just not that much time in a day. So what he suggested was 2 minutes. If you want to learn how to meditate, set the goal of meditating for 2 minutes a day. Now, maybe you originally wanted to meditate for 20 minutes a day, but sometimes it's hard to find the 20 minutes. But there's always 2 minutes. And he's like, you lower the bar to such a degree that it's almost impossible to fail. And what you'll notice is that over time, you start to fit these things into your schedule better and better because you start to go longer as things happen, right? But even if you only get 2 minutes in, say you do 7 days straight of 20 minutes of meditation, and then on day 8, you realize you're running out of time, so you just get that 2 minutes in. You still got your 2 minutes that day. You still achieved your goal.
That's true.
And I thought that was fantastic advice, because there's all these little projects that I want to get a hold of that I don't have my time well enough to put the time I feel I need to invest in. Like even my own Tai Chi practice. Like I'm sure often you feel the same way. Like I'm teaching all the time. Teaching is great, but it's not my practice. That's me giving of my practice.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great advice. Just the 2 minute habits, set the standard so low that you can't get it wrong. And what ends up happening is you make incremental progress along the way. So if you're trying to write a book, which I'm sure you are, right? If you're not, you are now. If you just did 2 minutes worth of writing every day, let's say you only get 3 or 4 sentences out in that 2 minutes. That's still 3 or 4 sentences that you wouldn't have gotten out if you did nothing, right? Or if you're like, I want to work out for an hour a day, but then you look at the clock, you only have 40 minutes. So you just don't because you don't have the hour. But instead of getting 40 minutes of exercise, you get no exercise because you didn't get out. Right. And so that's what the whole thing was about, was just taking those moments. This morning, so I like to get in, especially in the weekend, 45 minutes to 60 minutes of meditation. That was not going to happen with all of the streaming and everything like that going on.
People are doing a dance marathon. You can go over 24 hours or something.
Oh my God, no idea. I did go to sleep last night. Don't worry, I'm not doing the marathon.
Thank God. I was like, what is this, like Penn State Thon? What are they doing exactly?
So DDR has done it. He's done it several times where he's just gone from Auckland, New Zealand to Honolulu and just been there the whole time. And then when the West Coast goes live, when they kick off their World Tai Chi Day, then he actually gives a class. I'm like, I don't know how you would do that, because I would be on fumes, sort of looking at the end of whenever it was coming, like counting down the moments, let alone like getting that extra boost to go out and do the show. The show is hard to do. And yeah, I forget where I was going with this, but yeah, practice.
Practice. Well, you know, why do you ever stop to wonder why rehabs are generally 30 days long? It's because there's a lot of systems in the body that turn over every 30 days. And so if you can manage to do something for 30 days in a row, even if it's only in 2-minute increments, sure, chances are very, very high likelihood that at the end of 30 days, you're going to notice that you feel better when you do it than when you don't.
Yes.
And that's how the habit begins. And that's how the only thing anybody will ever stick to is the thing that they like. And that goes back to finding the thing that you like.
That's right. That's exactly right. There's, it's like, oh, I want to go out and I want to get in shape because you want to look like Brad Pitt or something. Or Captain America. Now that's a lot of man being right there. Anyway.
Or Wonder Woman.
No, listen, Wonder Woman from the 70s.
Gail, no, I started saying Gail Gadot. No, Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. She had the frame of an athlete. Mm-hmm. Right? She was very smooth and very feminine, but she had the frame of an athlete, the way she would move. Gail Gadot does not. She looks like a model. She looks like a model and she moves like a model. I like my Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman should look like she can beat up Henry Cavill. He is like comic accurate Superman.
And still rock the glasses with the suit, I know.
It looks so disingenuous on him, like so disingenuous. Like that guy is not a nerd. That guy, Superman. He could be wearing a parka and his muscles are coming through the seams. So like, but yeah, I just, I had hoped that she would work out a little more because it's comics. And I have my own ways of doing anything. But I think the movie was fine. I did enjoy the movie. I liked the character that they made of Wonder Woman in that movie. I think she was really endearing and somewhat a lot of people, regardless of gender or anything like that, or even time period for that case, or deatic status. Is that a word? That's not a word. I just made that word up. Deatic? Your deity status?
Okay. Yeah, he did make it up. It makes sense.
Because she's like half in, half out, right? Like she's half got, half not. Anywho, yeah, I don't even know how we got on this.
But we were talking about how you feel better when you do than when you don't. I mean, that kind of, I think, comes back to some of the subject matter of a lot of the Chi classes. We often end up talking about the ways in which we're all alike rather than dissimilar. We're very similar. And last Monday, for instance, was a ridiculous day for me. I was so busy, it was not even funny.
Yeah.
And I finished up teaching my last class of the day at, I want to say 7 p.m. Eastern time, and at 7:15 I had to get on a meeting with you.
Yeah.
And we did 90 minutes of Tai Chi, and I hadn't had a chance to eat in about 4 hours. I was really hungry and exhausted. you know what? I felt good when we were done. 90 minutes of Tai Chi. I felt a little tired,
Sure.
but I felt so relaxed that I felt entirely differently when we were done than before we started. Before we started, I was like, oh, can't have seen a random minute to get on this Zoom meeting, you know? but it was great. So, you know, again, we come back to that, just practice, and you'll feel in your body, it feels good. There's no such thing as bad Tai Chi, it just feels good.
Yep, you're exactly right. And sometimes you just gotta go in and go for it. I'll tell you what, my Mondays are like packed, super packed. It's the busiest day of the week for me, and I've probably done that wrong in my scheduling. That said, though, I kind of walked into that training the same way you did. I had a long day. I was exhausted, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, because I have to be on for the class. And I just kind of sat, just relaxed, and let everything sort of just flood in by itself. Whatever the inspiration I needed, whatever was going on, we're going to do it. So I had the music played in the background, and that's when I decided to put on the hat and coat, just come on, be all silly, right? And then once the silliness happened, it was just on from that point. And crazy enough, that class did not do everything that I wanted it to do. Right? I had 3 things that I wanted to go over. We only got into 1, and that was good enough. That was great for the group. And everybody seemed to really enjoy that. That's the way the river was flowing that day. And the same as you just jump in and roll with it. You come out feeling better at the other end. And yeah, you're absolutely right. But the hardest part of any practice is just getting started, right?
Yeah.
Just sitting down, and the first push-up is the hardest. The first step is the hardest.
And we know this from physics. Getting out of the spot of inertia is harder than keeping moving once you're down.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. That came up in that video that I was talking about, the 2-minute habit video, where we said once you get started on something, your body is already in momentum, so it's easier to keep on going once you're there. So if you just give yourself 2 minutes, within 2 minutes you still don't want to do it, fine. But after that, you've been in those situations. So you're there, you're meditating. You're like, I'm only going to do about 15 minutes worth of meditation because I'm busy. I got stuff to do. And then the gong goes off at the end of the 15 minutes. And you're like,
that went so fast.
But I'm not ready to get up now.
Yeah. I don't want to leave here. I know.
Let's do another 15 minutes. I'll be late for that meeting. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
They'll be all right.
That happens a lot these days, more often than usual. If I stop what I'm doing, I have a lot of work to do today. I don't really want to stop.
Oh. Yeah, that's the worst. It's like your day has a push broom, and you're just pushing everything off to the next day. I'm done. But I think that is a sign, speaking of being authentic and knowing yourself, whenever you're starting to feel overwhelmed, there's a reason for that. You put more on your plate than you can eat, and it's time to be honest with yourself at that moment. You're like, all right, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Either I need to get organized, push this out, but if you're already organized, then it's like I've taken on too much, and I've overrun my dams. Now, over time, I can build that dam up and become stronger, but that's not going to happen in 24 hours. So there's something that's got to be released, and that's a hard thing because letting go, as we know, not something human beings are good at.
Well, another thing that I've noticed about that whole too many things on my plate thing, and my typical response to that is to feel overwhelmed. Not everybody feels that way when they have too many things on their plate. That's just my personal way that I typically respond. I've noticed that that's a huge sign that you are not really being in the moment with anything that you're doing. Because if you're thinking, I've got so much on your plate, you're projecting way ahead into stuff that may or may not even happen. I mean, I think even the Dalai Lama has said no one ever lived the life they thought they would live, even moment to moment to moment. If you get even 1 second ahead of exactly where you are right now, you're not in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Embrace the moment, and that takes practice.
Practice. A lot of practice. A lot of practice.
A lot of practice. But you said it yourself. I mean, when you're trying to be mindful, and mindfulness really is just about being in the moment, just focusing on what you're doing at that given time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, like Tai Chi is a great teacher of this because as you're moving through your forms, as you're moving through your sets, you have to forget about what you just did and you can't worry about what's coming. You just have to work with what you're working with. And the moment you get past whatever milestone is here, well, you're only there literally for a moment, and now you're here. So even this is gone, but this right here, nope, that's not a thing because I'm here, but now I'm here. You just keep on going through, so you never step in the same river twice in that. Right. So in that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, finish.
No, I think that's why so many people experience Tai Chi not only as something that's so health enhancing and something they want to cleave to maybe for life, but because but as a portal to these other meditative mindfulness practices. Because sometimes for the first time in their lives, they're realizing what it's like to literally feel your feet touching the ground. Feel that, and now feel the weight leave one of your feet and flow completely into the other, and then feel your empty foot just simply snaking out there without any effort. Very rare, never in life do you have those experiences except in Tai Chi.
There you go. You're absolutely right. And I love the way you just explained that in very simplistic, physical, substantial terms, right? No mysticism, no this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of that. But you got to get there, right? I remember, talking to a lot of, especially new students, you're going to know you're balanced, but if you think you're balanced, you're not balanced, which sounds like gobbledygook at first run. But no, you're going to know you're balanced and you feel all your weight on your foot. Like this isn't like you're going to feel a beam of light come down from the sky. No, you're going to feel all your weight there. If you don't, you're not balanced. Like it's very matter of fact, very much. Because in the beginning, it is a physics thing. It's a physics and physiological thing. There we go. I use the words.
I used to write for a living, but I've lost my words.
They're pouring out. They're all in Word. I've used them.
Again, if you and I went into a room and got locked in and we're only allowed to write for a living, I would not come out alive. You would definitely.
That sounds like a dream.
But I have recently the mindfulness community here. They're really helping me advocate my programs, which is I'm so honored and grateful. I can't express how honored and grateful I am to these folks who are helping me really get this program running in Delaware. So there's a wonderful Facebook page, Connect to Overcome, and it promotes all of these mindful activities, including Tai Chi. And they said, well, we need to get some posts written by your students telling folks what they have experienced as a direct result of taking these classes. So a bunch of my students took the time to write things down. And the most profound testimonial of all came from a guy who he enrolled in my very introductory level class because he couldn't come to the free Tai Chi for veterans classes, just didn't fit his schedule. And I teach that in a way, as if someone has never even heard the words Tai Chi or Tai Chi Cha. It's like very, let's start at the bottom. One of the coolest things he wrote was, I didn't even know I had balance problems until I took this class. I feel so much more balanced. And it was interesting. Are you hearing reverb?
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
Right away.
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
I didn't think you wanted to hear me twice. Once is bad enough, right?
No comment.
A lot of times in life, we have no idea that we are really not balanced. We just don't know until we take the time to feel the feet touching the ground. And then slowly let your weight sink into one leg so that you can take a step with the other. You just don't know.
We worked with that Monday. We worked with that in quite some detail in the opening part of the session. And it's it feels good to me to know that you see it the exact same way. Like we come from two different disciplines, but the method of balancing is exactly the same. Not even really two different disciplines, just two different flavors of the same discipline. I think that's great because in that moment, then you're not lost in what's going on. You know exactly where we're going. And the same thing as when I take your classes, where I may not know where the hands are going to go, the understanding of the foundations are all there. And that is something that can be just embracing in many ways. That you're able to have that interchange with someone that's beyond just verbal, beyond just cultural. Like you're feeling it on a spiritual connectivity through the body, which is really awesome.
Also, if you think about some of the other gifts that we're giving the world by promoting and teaching these practices, in Tai Chi Fit speak, there's the I don't care principle. You know? In Tai Chi Chess speak, we always say, this is the effort of no effort, and there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chess. It's all good or gooder, you know? Right. But think about it. In America, at this stage of the game, when on earth have most people ever heard someone say to them, you are working way too hard. If you don't knock that off, you're never going to succeed at this thing, you know? When do they hear that? When do people hear, exactly who you are is 100% good, and it's just going to keep getting better from there? And how long do people hear that?
No, I listen. I don't even know if I've heard that before today. I don't think I've heard anyone outside of myself say that before today. No, you're absolutely right. Because everything is built on conformity in our culture, and not about the celebration of the individuality, which ends up making the collage that our society is. There's strength in our specialness, our uniqueness. There's strength that even from a scientific standpoint, the more diverse we are genetically, the safer we are as a species, right?
Sure.
You know, COVID, for instance, some people are asymptomatic, and some people, unfortunately, have passed because of this thing. And a lot of that, I'm sure, comes down to genetics and your overall health and all these other factors that you can't see that have nothing to do with the dividing lines that we put up as a society. So there's real wisdom in what you just said there, where we just have to enjoy the uniqueness and be the most authentic self that we possibly can be out there without hurting anybody, obviously. There's a couple people in history that I think they were a little too authentic. Yeah, maybe calm down on the whole I hate the Jew thing, guy. Maybe try some Tai Chi. Take off the boots, put on some soft shoes, go do some Tai Chi in the park. Come back and talk to me in a couple of years. But yeah, overall, I think that is actually one of the things I really enjoy. Because as you notice in your class, like every body moves different. Literally every body moves different.
And we even move differently from side to side. Nobody's completely symmetrical.
That's exactly right. So you find the beauty in your art when all those differences come together as one. Right? It's the celebration of the differences in one mission. That sounds like the military, actually.
You just got your title right there. Good.
That is why we have the Tai Chi for Veterans program here, I'd say.
Yeah, but seriously, I think you touched on a bunch of things that have been sort of underlying or sometimes outright themes of my work for the last 16 years. I know this is going to sound very ridiculous, but it's really the case that my goal for years now has been to have some kind of cause some kind of ripple effect in the way we all define the words health and well-being. And in fact, I put that right on my front page of my homepage of my website. I mean, I'm really serious about that, and that's a really ridiculous undertaking. It's kind of like I'm scratching on a boulder with one finger, and I'm really expecting to make a big dent. Yeah. But here's the thing: there are 900,000 plus veterans in this country just since Vietnam. We're not even taking into account the Korean and World War II vets that are still around, when they say that number. That's a huge chunk of people. So even if we can make a big difference in the public health system for that group of people, we might ultimately be causing a wave to be rising, which will eventually oversweep our entire public health system.
Yep.
It's possible we're witnessing a change here, the very, very beginning of a huge, huge shift right now.
Yes, I agree. Mic drop. Yeah, I think we are moving towards something. And I think part of it is those of us that have been in this industry and those of us that have been on this journey are finally coming into our own and coming out of the closet, in a sense, because there used to be, there's stereotypes that come along with anything that one does. And now that you're getting more industrious people who are both business competent, but at the same time, still mindful and spiritual and loving. And you can merge those two into one. That I always said that the failing of the Clinton administration, not the administration, but the campaign, was that she did not embrace grandmahood. If she would have embraced grandmahood and the feminine aspects of what she brings to the table, as opposed to trying to replicate what we were seeing on the other side of the stage, which
that may be true.
And people can see that contrast between the two, where the nurturing, yes, I can run this thing and make you feel good about your day at the same time.
Yeah.
That may have been an edge that could have been used in that. And that's really the thing. That goes back to the Tao at that point. The teaching without teaching, the learning without learning. As you say, no effort. As we say, I don't care. The idea is just have fun. It'll take care of itself. All you have to do is keep showing up, and it'll work. It'll be fine. That's our hardest job as instructors, is keeping them coming back. That's the most for us. And a lot of people don't realize that. But I think you do. I keep coming back. I've done more teaching chess since I've met you than I did my entire life. So...
You said this number of times, so I think you and I are 100% on the same page about all this, is that what causes a student to keep coming back is that they see something in the instructor that they want more of for themselves.
Yep.
And it's not even anything that we say, it's almost an aura. And so what that really means is that the hardest job for any instructor, no matter what you're teaching, maybe you're an English professor at college, the hardest job for any instructor is to convey the message that there is something to be learned. Because once a student says, I had a blind spot,
Sure.
You know, until they know they have a blind spot, they don't know they have a blind spot because something's in their blind spot. You know, once they know they have a blind spot, there's something new to be learned. They're not just taking in information and just comparing, contrasting it to what was already in the filing cabinet. So that's the hardest job of any teacher, and especially in the Tai Chi world, is to convey the message that there is something to be learned and just show up as someone who practices all the time, because then they're going to see there's something there that I want more of, and I'll keep coming back.
That's it. Show them the value and make it valuable for them. That is the key. That is the key. All the what is it? It's the good advice that you just didn't take. Is that Alanis Morissette, right?
Right.
Because at the time you just didn't see the value in it, and that's our job. We're the guardians of the pot of gold. We're going full multicultural all across the globe. It is World Tai Chi Day. Talking about practices with Irish Lord mythology. We are truly multicultural. All right, Jessica. Well, thank you so much for coming out and joining me today on World Tai Chi Day. Fantastic conversation. We got a lot of love on the live feed. They just absolutely adore you. Absolutely
no, I think it's you, Marcus. I'm pretty sure.
And I've been here all night.
But they're still here, so obviously they were watching you. I'm just walking in and out of the room. That's all.
They are so tired of me by this point. I am tired of me at this point. Like, I need a shower.
I grossed myself out. I need a shower.
How many more hours do we have? Yeah. No, we have a great audience. I actually got a chance to talk to one of our Australian folks last night, which was really cool. And just speaking with everybody and just being a part of the community and seeing how big the community really is. We are a part of a huge movement.
Global community.
You know, which is awesome. It's awesome. You're never alone in the world of Tai Chi.
That's true. That's true.
Right. Tell us where we can find you, Jessica. Where can they find you?
Okay. So the best place to start is my website. It's very rich. It's full of lots of information. And from there you can click off into 5 different social media channels. So the name of my company, gosh darn it, I didn't wear my company shirt today. What was I thinking? Anyway,
you're a terrible shill. Terrible shill.
The name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. And I've been told that when people Google Sculpt Your Life or Jessica Lewis or the two of them together, that I'm the very first thing that pops up. Sculpt Your Life. But when I went to get the domain, the words all spelled out like that were already taken, so it's spelled a little differently on my website. It's www.sculpt, SCULPT, URLIFE.com.
That's very masculine.
I know. So that's what it is. So, and when you're there, if you want to get in touch with me, you just hit the contact button, and no matter where you are, you slide all the way down to the bottom of the page. And you can shoot me an email, or you can just pick up the phone and call me. And you can also just hot link off into all the different social media channels.
That is awesome. And she is always pitching her wares everywhere in the Tai Chi Fit networks. So that's how you do it, Jessica. That's what we're trying to get these other instructors to do. Be annoyingly in front of everyone. I only see you so much because I have to monitor these things.
The function of it was annoying. I get it. I get it. I'm annoying you. I get it. I get it.
Not at all. Sometimes, mostly.
Well, thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you.
Thanks for inviting us into your home today, and the best to you and yours down there in Delaware.
You too. You too. I hope you get some good rest and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
There's going to be ice cream at some point.
It's all good. Okay, take care.